Today we will study perform integrated change control process, which is part of project integration management, and it is very important process to understand because whenever you will start your project, since its conception to end, you will always face changes. So let's talk about what is change. A fix to any deliverable, resource, time schedule or activity etc. that was not originally planned in your project plan. You can think of changes coming from two directions. Number one is from stakeholders, a change request which comes from the stakeholder, and another is project management or a project manager, changes that you as a project manager will recommend for the project. These changes usually appear in the form of change request. There will also be changes that you as a project manager will recommend for the project. This you can think of as pitching a change. These changes will usually be a formal memo that you submit to the stakeholders. You want to distinguish between pitching and catching changes for two reasons. First, you are catching a change because that change is coming from the stakeholder either in executing process group or in planning phase of the project. So your role will be different. You will have a meeting with him or her or any stakeholder, and then you will evaluate that change request, and then ultimate decision will be shared with that stakeholder. This kind of change is called catching a change. So if you are catching a change, you will need to evaluate how the change will impact the rest of the project. In project language, evaluating the changes you catch is called integrated change control. So no matter how well you plan a project, there will always be changes. Some changes are additions to the project or even changes to the policies, procedures used on the project. In large organization, you will usually catch request with a change request form. These are usually called change request in business requirement documents, and the project will change what the project creates. So this is a process where we manage changes that is called perform integrated change control. Perform integrated change control is the process of reviewing all change requests, approving changes, and managing changes to deliverables, organizational process assets, project documents, and project management plan, and communicating their disposition. It reviews all requests for changes or modifications to project documents, deliverables, baselines, or the project management plan, and approves or rejects the changes. The key benefit of this process is that it allows for documented changes within the project to be considered in an integrated fashion while reducing project risk, which often arises from changes made without consideration to the overall project objectives or plans. As a project manager, you should have courage to say no if any change which you believe is not given or out of scope of the project. So instead of facilitating or accommodating your stakeholder, a project manager should have courage to say no. This is responsibility of a project manager to take change request from the stakeholder, evaluate that change and its effect on cost, quality, customer satisfaction, and then a project manager is responsible to forward that evaluation form or change request to change control board, and whatever the decision is shall be communicated with the stakeholder. So let's talk about the inputs tools and techniques and outputs. Since you are managing changes, so you need almost everything like a scope baseline which contains work breakdown structure dictionary along with the project scope statement. You need comprehensive project schedule, that is called schedule baseline, as well as cost baseline, because whatever changes you are going to accommodate or manage in your project, obviously it will affect cost, it will affect quality, it will affect scope of the project and the deadlines. You need basis of estimates, you need requirement traceability matrix. What is requirement traceability matrix? In requirement traceability matrix, it is a correlation between the requirements and the project objectives given in a project charter, and obviously any kind of risk report you need. You need work performance reports like earned value management and different reporting along with any change request, enterprise environmental factor and organizational process assets are the common inputs in all processes of project management. So in this process basically you are managing changes. So change request is mandatory document as far as inputs are concerned in this process. So let's talk about the tools and techniques. One tool and technique that you are studying first time is called change control tools, where we use configuration and change management tools, either manual or automated, to track changes. Configuration management focuses on making sure you are using the updated and latest version. For instance, the project management plan is approved at version 1. Each time it's revised, the version changes to 1.1, 1.2 and so on. Change management keeps track of each change and its disposition. Second is data analysis, which includes alternative analysis, which is used to assess the requested change and forward it to change control board, where either it will be accepted or rejected, or you can make some modifications or recommended. Second is cost benefit analysis. This analysis helps to determine if the requested change is worth its associated cost. And third tool and technique is called decision making. There are few techniques used in decision making. First is autocratic, where one person decides. In multi-criteria decision analysis, which uses a decision matrix for systematic approach to evaluating changes. And in voting, either it is majority or plurality or any kind of dictatorship or unanimity, there is also voting. And meetings and expert judgment is a common tool and technique which is used in all processes almost in project management. So what are the outputs? Outputs are approved change request or and changes in project management plan and project document updates. Obviously in this process we deal with changes, so we take change request from the stakeholder, we forward that change request to the change control board, and whatever they decide, we communicate as a project manager with the stakeholders accordingly. So this is all about today's lecture. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Thank you.